That's awesome. That's great to hear.
Yeah, bro. Just trying to, like, it's the big part of this is too. We felt like there weren't many people that we could really talk to about like the journey as we're going through it. It was like weird things that happened, like even myself breaking my collarbone, something like that. It's like, okay, it happened. What other Canadians really are going through this in terms of like recruitment and how recruitment just stopped. Like obviously I talked to my coaches, I talked to my parents, like other Canadians, there weren't many like that kind of went through a similar circumstance. So we're just trying to build that connection in order to get that off the jump. And like there's so much Canadian talent that just goes unnoticed. So we just want to spotlight that, bring that to the or bring a platform for that.
Yeah, I mean, especially back then, I feel like there wasn't as much Canadians moving out of the States. I mean, now it's kind of increased, but back when you guys were still in high school, there was really not that many Canadians. It wasn't really a well-known thing.
At all.
Exactly.
And like especially because for me, I remember in Quebec, like we have a whole different like system on throughout like besides Canada, where our schooling system we graduate in grade 11, and then after we have something called CJUP, where you basically do like a 3-year program before you go to university. Right. So what happens is that for CJUP kids, a lot of them didn't understand the recruiting process. They just kind of sat there for the 3 years and they thought like these universities in America is just going to somehow find them, and they didn't understand about what happened, but about the whole recruiting process, about going to camps, about getting yourself the exposure. So I think because they did not like because it's not like well known here, it's not pushed here. It was just kind of like you kind of graduate from whatever high school you go to, do the little CJUP, then just go to your local university and just continue from there. So it's just kind of like with our story, and at least for my story, I know a long time when I was in the States, the guys are like, yo, how do you get looked up? Like, how do you get looked up at schools? Like, what camps do you got to go to and stuff like that? So it's kind of like we're trying to now take our knowledge and build it with like you guys' stories and your journey, and kind of like be able to just dish it out to the younger generations who actually is watching you like do it now. It's like, okay, I want to be like you. Like, I want to kind of go here. I want to do this too, because like it's almost like a blueprint in a way.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, one thing that really helped me in the recruiting process is like just getting connected with this one guy from Ontario. I don't know if you know him. His company is 730 Scouting, but his name is Justin Dillon. But he like works with a whole bunch of Canadian athletes and trying to connect them with D1 coaches, and just having him to get me past all the weird recruiting things and get me straight to the coaches was like a really big positive for me, and kind of one of the big reasons that I got all of the attention that I did while I was in the States.
I feel that for sure. So I won't lie, I never heard of Justin Dillon, but I definitely heard of 730 Scouting. So that's wavy that you actually were in contact with them, and then that they actually played. Obviously, like not going to undermine your athletic talents, but that they were able to play a role within with your recruiting and things like that. That's dope.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're talented, if you don't have people to get you connected with the coaches, like they're just not going to see you. That's just how it works.
Dope.
So I mean, even you could be the most talented player ever, but if you don't have somebody that's going to get you through those barriers and get you straight to the coaches so they can see how good you are, it's not going to work out. So Justin played a huge role in my recruiting at 730 Scouting.
That's dope for real.
Yeah,
Shout
that's
out to
crazy.
Justin, man.
For real.
That's what we need, especially being from Canada, being Canadians, man. It's tough. Like you were saying before, they're just finally starting to take notice of the talent we have up here. So to have people like that who are already connected with college coaches, to have them exemplifying and highlighting our talent is huge.
For sure. I don't know if you guys know Josh Palmer.
Yep.
JJ, you can talk on him.
Yeah. So I don't know him personally because he's a couple years younger than me, but he actually balled with my brother a lot. I played football in Brampton, where Josh is from, so he balled with my brother. My brother knows him a lot more than I do, but obviously, like being from the area, I know of him. I've heard all the stories about him.
Yeah, so like Justin at 730 Scouting is like one of the guys that worked with Josh, and like those are the type of guys that Justin works with to try to like get them exposure. So like that's just like some insight into what he does.
See, yeah, that's dope, because see, that's crazy. The fact that you mentioned that, where there's probably thousands of guys out there who doesn't even know about what he does. And it's not even like, obviously for Justin, he has to to hit his own type of standard where he kind of worked with individuals who really has next level potential. But at the same time, it's kind of like, what if there is a guy who had next level potential but doesn't know of Justin, or Justin doesn't know of him? It's kind of like the fact that you just even just put him on the platform is like, you never know what can happen after this for the next year like, class. That's dope. That's dope. Shout out to Justin for real.
Yeah, I mean, and even just like knowing about the prep school scene down in the States and knowing like which schools you should be trying to go to, because I mean, some of them are just kind of hoaxes, in my opinion. They just are trying to get you there so they can win, and they're not really having your best interest at hand. So
Yep.
it's hard
It's
to
tough, man. I'll say not so much in high school, but definitely happens in high school. It's just a business behind everything. Like these coaches, especially in the States down south, these coaches are getting paid. Their jobs are on the line, right? So they get you there. They're expecting to win, and it's almost they'll do whatever it takes to win at a certain, like it gets to that point. But yeah, man, it's tough. It's a balancing act because you need your coaches, but at the same time you have to know that not all your coaches have your best interest at heart.
Yeah. I mean, you just got to find the right ones. If you can find the right ones, you don't have to worry about all that stuff. But like, you need to know somebody who knows. So I
feel that
I mean, what you guys are doing is a good thing, because people who have been through the process are going to know a little bit more than like kids just starting out, and give some opinions and give some like insight into what really goes down.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we do get too far into it, sorry, just I don't want to butcher your name. So how's your name pronounced? And sorry if that sounds a little rude or anything. I just want to make sure we're saying it right.
Sure, it's Elic Ayomanor.
Okay.
So it's Elic. Okay. See, earlier
we weren't sure if it was Elic or Elic, so got you. And then Ayomanor. Perfect.
All right. So JJ, you want to say it? Me.
Yeah. So I guess now we'll get into a bit more of like the formal part. So I guess just to start us off, I guess tell us about yourself, like your family. We have you here as being listed for a medicine hat, Alberta. If that's wrong, feel free to correct me. But yeah, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm from Medicine Hat, Alberta. I was born and raised there by my mom, and my sister was also in the house at the time. But it was just really us. We had a really good family, had a really good connection. And I mean, I've always played sports when I was younger. Like hockey's a big thing in Canada, so I kind of started with that, building like the competitive nature. And then maybe I was 10 or 11, I started playing football, and I just fell in love with the game. I started having fun, just like any other kid does. And then you guys know the provincial teams, right? Like stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of where like I really started getting competitive, because I seen like these guys playing on Team Alberta, like they have all the gear and stuff. I'm like, oh, play for that. So like that's when I tried out for that, and I made the team. And I was playing really well. I had a really good tournament, and then my wide receiver coach, he asked me like if I really wanted to do this and if I had any aspirations, and I told him like at that point I started thinking like I could probably play D1 if I really put my effort into it. So I talked to him, and he got me set up with Justin Dillon at 730 Scouting, and he sent my film out to all these prep schools and kind of gave me like the insight on what each one is like and what each one does. And then I made a decision to go to Petty School in New Jersey first. Went there, had a really good time, learned a lot of things. I mean, it was hard because coming from Canada, I would say like the biggest difference is you don't really get the skill development and like the attention to detail and technique that you get in the States. So you just come in as a raw athlete and like trying to learn all those technical things while playing with a whole new environment and a whole new culture is kind of a big thing. But it was a big learning experience. And then our coach ended up leaving, so I transferred to Deerfield Academy in Massachusetts. And then I just kept working hard, and now I'm at where I'm at, just committed to Stanford last week. So
yeah, congratulations on that.
I completely forgot. Yeah, man, big congrats.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's huge. Like academically and just on the sport end, but honestly, that's big. A lot of people can't get, not even like get alone Stanford, but like that's because they bring the academic portion to it. It's like honestly, congratulations, because like you can almost go anywhere like with your athleticism, but like when you can match that with academics on the back end, like you could almost do anything.
For sure, so, I think for me that was really important part, just the academic piece for sure.
Yeah, that's dope, man. That's dope for real.
That's kind of the
Um,
story.
sorry, I think I cut you off a little bit there. What were you saying?
I said that's really all my story so far. That's and what it's taken me to.
Yeah, I hear you. The rest is
Okay,
in
cool,
writing.
cool.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I mean, so I'm not gonna lie. Even being Canadian, like I haven't really heard of Medicine Hat before. So I guess talk to us about growing up in a small city environment and how do you think that helped your development, if at all?
I was actually talking about this to my mom the other day. I think it's a small city, maybe like 50, 60,000, but it's enough where you have competition to where like you are pushed. Like there's gonna be some good players, but not that many. And I think it was kind of like big in making me think, like building my confidence, because that is a smaller city, you it's easier to be the best in the city because there's just not that many people. So I think it kind of built my confidence as a young person. And then I really just didn't have any doubts in myself afterwards. So I think that being in that small city kind of helped me bring that up. And then once I thought that I was ready to go pursue bigger dreams, like I didn't have any doubts in myself because I could see that I could put myself on the top and be in a leader position. It was just a matter of if I was going to put the work in to do it in a bigger venue in the future. So I think that's kind of like the big benefit for me of growing up in a small city. Not to say that there's anything wrong with a big city. There's just different types of things you have to combat there. But in small cities, there's no exposure. That's one of the negatives. So like you're most likely going to have to move somewhere where there is more people and more scouts looking at you eventually.
I feel that. I feel that. I feel that. Yeah, that's it. That's another thing where it's kind of, especially like exposure in general, like in Canada. That's why I feel like all three of us almost basically left our homes in the city. Although Jamal come from a big city in Toronto, it's like in Canada, it's a big city and whatnot. But it's like for the football aspect and football exposure, it's kind of like you almost have to kind of put yourself in front of American coaches and like having those American coaches' eyes on you to just like we basically need one of them to like believe in you and your talents because like we got nothing but studs coming out of Canada. Like they said, we have the Nevilles from beforehand and like from my generation. Then like you have you and the list can go on. You don't understand the list after you. Like you guys right now it's crazy, I feel. I don't know what happened, but like there's like it started off as like sprinkles and now when it's you guys come.
Yeah, bro. I think it was like I'm trying to think like I think maybe it was Josh Palmer first and now he's in the league. And then like John Mechie came through
Yep.
and he's at Bama. And then Joe at Clemson now.
Yeah.
He
Mm-hmm.
lived up to like an hour away from me in Alberta when we were younger. So like I feel like when people more Canadians see other Canadians doing it, having success, like they want to do the same thing and try to like have bigger for themselves and desire bigger for themselves.
That's crazy.
Exactly.
I
Like
didn't even
I
know.
think that's a big thing. Like because most of these guys, you're playing with them or you're playing against them. So you see them going on to do like bigger and better things. They're able to get the scholarship down south. So you're like, okay. And that's when the competitive nature in you comes like, okay, this dude, he may have been a little better than me, but it's like I was able to go punch for punch with him. So it's like if he could do it, I'm right there. So I know I'm next up type of thing. So I
Yeah.
think that's definitely a big part of what's been going on as of recently within this resurgence of Canadian talent going down south.
No doubt.
But yeah, man, that was real. Definitely what you were talking about like coming up from a small city and then how you were able to get that confidence in yourself because I would say that's the most important part. And while I was playing, at least at the beginning of my playing career, I feel like that's something I might have lacked a little bit. So that's dope. How I guess for you, obviously everyone's experience differs and whatnot, but being in the small city is what really helped you get your confidence off the ground.
Yeah. I think another part too for my confidence was like when I got to the States, like it went all the way down because everybody was way better than me because they had just been doing it for long with better coaches. But like I think one thing is if you prepare more than everybody else, like it's very hard to have no confidence in yourself because you know that you prepared to do something. So I think if you have the mindset where you're always wanting to prepare more than the guy you're gonna be playing with, or more than the guy that's in the same locker room as you. Like you're gonna have that confidence in the preparation you put in, not necessarily in the like skill set that you have. You just know that you've been preparing better than everybody else. So you have to have that confidence. That's another big thing for me.
Yeah, no doubt. That is a big thing for sure. So going off of that actually, so let's say this summer, what would you say like a day in the life of Elic was this summer, getting ready for this big senior season?
So like most of the summer, I mean half of the summer I spent doing official visits and camps. So like that doesn't really count because I was just traveling around the US doing stuff. But after that, when I was really like grinding and trying to prepare for the season, I would say I'll wake up in the morning and do a sprint workout for like
Yeah.
speed training, and then rest for like 4 or 5 hours, and then lift in the afternoon. And then after that, we'll go to the field with some of my friends and just practice some routes and try to like clean up our technique and things like that. And then same thing, do the same thing next day, 6 days a week, and then rest on Sunday. It's really just, I mean, you can't, for me, it's like I do the same thing every day and I make sure that I'm doing enough to be prepared for the next obstacle. And then I just rinse and repeat it for the next day.
I hear that. I hear that. And then
That's
even though this was a question about the work ethic, you mind talking about like that one rest day? Because we have people out here, they're workaholics. They want to work 24 hours,
7
7 days
days.
a
Yeah,
week.
7 days.
Let us know, at least from your experiences, the importance of having that for you was the Sunday where you're take it off, get your body right, get your body under you.
And your mind right.
Yep, big
Yeah.
thing. So what would you say on that topic?
I think everybody has different capacities and personally, but for me, it's just physically like my body, I can't train 7 days a week and I don't know many people that can. Like after a while, I'm just going to overwork and then I'm going to be going backwards instead of forwards. So having that rest day, make sure that my body's recovered so I can go into the next week and keep working hard and keep improving instead of overworking myself and getting worse, even though I'm putting in more work. So I think having the rest day for me is mostly like a physical thing and making sure that my body is going to be right and healthy and healing and recovering from the workouts, because honestly, like you can work as hard as you want to, but if you're not recovering after the workout, it's just going to be useless. And then I think also for some people, it can be a mental thing because like not everybody has the capacity to work every single day, 365 days a year. Like some people just can't do that. And I mean, most people just can't do that. So I think being able to balance knowing that you're working hard, but also like letting yourself have a break every once in a while can keep you like more invested and more like focused when you do actually train. Because if you're not invested every time you're training, then again, you're just going to be going backwards. So like if you have to take that break mentally so that you can train again and train well, then it's necessary. So I know that like some swimmers, because it's not as hard physically, will train 7 days a week because they can, but like, and that's just the physical aspect. But if they don't have the mental down, then it's okay to take a break because you want to be able, when you're training, you want to be training at 100%, not at like 80%, not at 70%, because you're not improving if you're doing that.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, that's
For
that's all
sure.
facts.
And kind of going off of that, you touch upon, I guess, the
Intensity.
intentionality of when
Oh.
you're training. So I was curious if going into the summer or going into the season, if there was a specific skill set, or if there's one specific thing that you were training on that you knew like after this summer, I want to perfect this, or I want to be miles away from where I was before the summer.
Yeah, for me, one thing that's always kind of been a weakness in my game is just like deep 180 breaks, like comebacks, curls, things like that. Because it's really, to be honest, it's just the hardest route to run because you're going full speed and you're stopping, and then you're
Yeah.
coming down, changing the exact opposite direction. It's just a hard break. It's a hard thing to do. So for me, that's always been an emphasis of mine, being able to do that, being able to sink my hips and get in the right body position to get out. So that's something that I always focus on and always do focus on. And then another few things were just like working on my press footwork and being able to like have it as muscle memory so I don't have to be thinking about it when I'm at the line of scrimmage too much. So I focus a lot on the top of the breaks, like comebacks and curls, and then the start where you have to win in the first 5 yards releases and things of that such. So those were two of my main focuses this summer.
Okay, I hear that. That's dope, man. And hopefully,
Honestly.
I mean, seeing what you've done so far, I already know you already got that down. So, like we said earlier, excited to see this season. Excited to see that all that work put into action. Kind of stepping away from training a little bit. So you mentioned at home it was you, your mom, and your sister. So who would you say, I guess, your biggest role model or inspiration was, and how would you say that person helped you develop along your journey so far?
I think I've had a lot, to be honest. I think at every different step there was a different role model. I think obviously my mom is one that's pretty persistent because of all that she sacrifices for me. It just makes me know that like I'm gonna have to do the same for myself. Because if she sacrificed as much as she does for me, and I don't use that sacrifice to do something productive with my life, then it was just a waste of what she did. So that's one big thing for me. And then along the way, I just met a whole bunch of figures in my life that kind of influenced me to do the right thing. Like, for example, maybe when I was younger, when I first started playing football, I went to this camp called Ironwood Football. I'm actually wearing a bracelet right now. But one thing they taught me was like about that work ethic that you have to put in. Like they would put us through this boot camp thing. Coach Burst and Coach Woodley are their names. They would put us through this boot camp. And I mean, it's one of the hardest workouts I've done to this day. And like they just keep pounding you on like how your mindset affects how you're gonna perform. So like there is where I really learned like how to work and what mindset I have to keep in to, you know, overcome the challenge of how you feel like when you're working hard and you don't want to do the next rep and what type of mentality you have to complete that next rep. And then like I feel like, yeah, those were like my main role models, to be honest. Like, cause just the way that they embodied work mentally and physically, like really helped me on my journey when I got to the States, actually. So I would say those Coach Burst and Coach Woody were probably my number one role models aside from my mom.
All right, shout outs to them for real. That's dope that you said they got you from young, because that's the main thing about like getting to the point you're at is just that work ethic, and the younger you could start, it's only going to be better for you. So that's dope.
I don't know if it's just me, but when you do those workouts when you're younger, everything feels like torture. That's not fun. That shit's not fun. But then when you look back on it, it's kind of like, damn, like because you trusted the process, it's like, damn, hey, it's because of y'all I'm truly here. Like basically all the workouts come after that. It's like, oh, that's nothing. It's nothing. When I was a kid, I had to do this, and this, and it's like, yeah. But you really just prepared you for where you are now.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, man. And I guess you touched on it also a bit earlier. So you played hockey before. Was football your first love, or was it hockey?
It was probably hockey, actually. Yeah, I started playing hockey when I was like 4 or 5. So like I was super young when I started playing hockey. So it would just I grew up playing it, and that was probably the first sport that I really loved playing. But then, I mean, as I grew older, it became football. But I mean, I also really liked basketball when I was younger too. But it was always those type of things. I mean, for me, it was just competing. I think I just like competing, no matter what the sport was. And then as I grew older, I just found that I was good at football. And then as I got older, I grew like an appreciation for the technicalities of the game.
Okay, yeah. So that goes right into my next thing. Well, before even getting to that, what initially got you into football? And then a side question after that, what made you decide to go all in on football? And what made you decide, okay, football is like you said earlier, like you could really go D1 with football. So what flipped the switch for you?
Yeah.
So I first got into football just because my friend was like, "Oh, you should come play. Like this is a fun sport." And I was like, "Oh, why not? Like we get to hit people, we get to like run, just like do random stuff with pads on it. It doesn't hurt." So I was like, "Why not?" Right. And then for the second half, like when I first moved, like I thought I could go D1, but like I didn't really know if I could go D1 or not. I was just like, for me, it was like if I had the opportunity to move to the States and have a chance, like why not? Like what's the worst that can happen? Like the worst that happens is I graduate, I don't go D1, and I mean I wouldn't have went D1 if I stayed in Canada anyway. So like it's the same thing. So, but when I really realized I could go D1 was when I started training with the guys on my team, because I walked into the room and like their wide receiver room, we had 5 in the wide receiver room in my first team, and they were all D1 already. So like I was the only kid that wasn't really D1. So I looked at them and I seen like how they were working, what they were doing with their bodies, what they were doing with their routes, how they caught it. And like to myself, I was like, oh, like I can do this because like I know that I'm gonna be able to work hard enough to get there. Like I seen it with my own eyes and I knew that I could replicate it. It just was like a matter of time. So I'd say like after the first couple of weeks, like in the States, that's when I knew I could go D1, but I also knew that I wasn't there yet and I knew that I had to work to get there.
That's dope, man. Honestly, I love the humble attitude, but that is crazy. He said he walked in the room and it was D1, D1, D1 right there. And
yeah, I'm telling you, like we had a small team though. We had like maybe 26 players, but every single one of them was D1. Like we had 5 offensive linemen. One's at UVA now, one's at West Virginia, another one's like at an FCS school. Who else was there? And then 2 other FCS schools. So all of our offensive linemen were Colorado State was the other one. And then we had D linemen, all D1, one's at UNC Charlotte, and then other were like both ways players because we only had 26 players.
Yeah.
The receivers are like one of them came into the school with NC State already. The other one's at Yale now, the other one's at Princeton, and then me and the 5th one. I can't remember where the 5th one went, but he's D1 too. Like literally everybody on that team now, like most of them are graduated, but they're all at Division I colleges. So like walking in fresh, I didn't really know anything of football then. It was like pretty crazy to see like all these athletes that were already at that level.
Yeah, man, that's huge. And I can only imagine like that was huge for you, your development, like you said earlier, your confidence, because you guys are all like you're building off each other. You're using each other's inspiration to get better, to perfect your craft. So it's like these are all 4 other high level guys. You're seeing what they're doing. You're implementing some of their stuff. They're implementing some of your stuff. And you guys are all just growing, getting better from there, man. So that's crazy. That is crazy.
Like that also shows like the power of like your circle, right? Like the people you surround yourself with, and it's just kind of what you see day in and day out. If you see basically how these D1 guys move, you're gonna start moving like that. You're gonna start doing the stuff like that. You might not like you're gonna stop complaining, because if they're not complaining during the workouts, it's like if they're going D1, why am I complaining? You know what I mean? So it's like you're gonna start moving more in a different mind state. And shoot, look what you right now. You walk into wide receiver room with not having no offers with 4 other D1 guys. Fast forward to now, look at you now.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just kind of like all like that mindset and just like what you were surrounded with. You just basically soaked all that in, and it just blessed you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Like, I think that when you're younger, like people can think that working hard isn't like a cool thing to do. But like when you walk into a room with that many good athletes, like you can just tell that they know you just have to work hard. Like that's the cool thing to do because that's how you become successful. So it just changes how you think, because you realize like you don't have to you don't have to act cool. Like you can be humble and put in the work, and that's how you're gonna get your success. So just seeing that kind of changes your mindset, like you said.
Yeah, man, that's definitely what it is. And like even just this what, maybe half hour, 45 minutes of this interview so far, like that's all I'm hearing from you, man. So keep at it. Like
You're honest.
Honestly, bro, like this is the first time we're ever talking. I'm proud of you, bro. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Like keep doing your thing. On some real stuff, bro. Keep doing it, man. Keep doing it.
Yeah, honestly, like you're gonna be a big inspiration, especially for when this comes out, and a lot of the generation under you, you're gonna see it, and it's like you're gonna have a lot of more fans that you don't even know.
But yeah, so that first year, when you first left Alberta, you went right to Petty's. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so how was it the transition that first year? Because I won't lie, for me, it was like a couple of times I was only 2 hours away, so I couldn't imagine. I'm not sure how long it is from Alberta to New Jersey, but 30. I know there was times I was feeling homesick and I was only a 2 hour drive away. So I'm just curious, like how how you kind of dealt with it that first year, how the transition went, both football wise, academically, and then personally, how that transition was, and how you were able to deal with those things.
Yeah, I would agree. It was very hard for me. It was I mean, I wouldn't say hard, but like it was a challenge. Like it wasn't something that I just kind of breezed through. Like first of all, going to a prep school, like it's just a different academic scene. So like you get a lot of homework and you just kind of what I learned is you just got to sit down and do it. Like you just can't make excuses. Like you just have to sit down, open the book, read it, write your essay, and just do it. Like, yeah, that's it. I mean, it's pretty simple. You just got to learn how to do it though. Like you can procrastinate and complain and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, you got to realize that the work's not going to get done unless you just sit down and do your work. So that was one big thing, just doing my homework now and not complain about it. And then just like I said before, like everybody around me was really good and I wasn't good. So like my confidence went down right away. And I was um, even then, even though they were D1 guys and they were working, like I was really trying to work, like because I was the worst by far. So like a lot of the time when you other guys see you like that, it's like, oh, like he's working harder than me, but he's worse than me. It just doesn't like seem right. So like there can be some like negative uh lashback against you because of that. And for me, it was just like staying true to myself and staying true to what I wanted to do. And I had to learn that like not everybody is going to be on the same path that is to success as you, because I mean your path is the only one path for you. So you just got to learn to be yourself and be honest in what you're doing, and if you think it's right for you, then you should keep doing it no matter what anybody else thinks. And then again, I just had to build my confidence over time through preparation. I just had to keep working and trusting in that if I kept putting in the work that I would be good enough to like be confident in my actions at some point in time.
Yeah, bro, that's dope. It sounds like it was like almost a lot of soul searching going on. Would you say that was something that happened like really that first year coming from I guess the confidence dropping? Where is that where the soul searching came from, or was that something that you started beforehand and then it just amplified when you got there?
Yeah, I think as soon as my confidence dropped, I was like, because I like as an athlete, that's kind of what makes you. Because like to be honest, it's just based on your performance. Like as an athlete, your confidence in. If you're not performing, you're just not going to be confident. That's just not how it works. So that's kind of where it all started. Because I was used to being like that guy in the room everywhere I went. So like I had to realize like that you have to do stuff in order to get there. You can't just be that guy right away in every situation. So, I mean, I think I realized it pretty fast. So it wasn't like a huge self identity thing. It was just, I had to keep to it and keep working and not really like, not get distracted by all the other things that go on around you, like all the social, like, I mean, drama that goes around you, because that can happen all the time. Wherever you go, it's going to happen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
facts.
that for sure. Speak to it. Going to Petty too. So not I think there were a couple Canadians who actually went there before you. So there was Alonzo Adai. I believe he graduated 2016. I think he graduated. Yeah, he graduated the same year as me. So 2016 he graduated. He's at West Virginia now. And then, as you mentioned before, John Mechie, he did a postgrad there. He's at Alabama. Did that influence your decision to go there at all, or?
For sure. Because I seen like, so I didn't really know who John Mechie was, but like that was when the CFC was out and they had the rankings for Canada. So I was obviously on the rankings and I seen, oh, John Mechie is the number one guy in Canada. So I was like, I seen what school he went to, and then I realized I was talking to them. And like then I was like, oh, I need to go there, because like if he goes to Alabama, he went to Petty, like that's gonna be a good place for me to
Exposure.
yeah. So then when I went there on the visit too, there was like I said, a whole bunch of D1 guys, and I seen like these are the dudes that are already doing it. So I need to surround myself with these guys. So that was a big part of my decision for sure.
Okay. That's dope. That's dope for sure.
That is,
Because especially y'all play the same receivers, so you see he's like, okay, he went there. He's at Alabama now, so it's like you could, what I was saying earlier, that's when the competitive juices start going. You're like, all right, I can see myself going there and
Yeah,
going to a school like Alabama or like or a Stanford. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Big
Like
time.
I really don't even know him at all. I just seen like he was the #1 ranked player in Canada, and he went to Petty. So I was like, oh, I need to go there.
I feel
It
that.
be like that. It be
Hey,
like
that's
that,
all
though.
it takes sometimes, though,
Yep.
for real.
It be like
That's all it
that.
is. And then, so you said the coach left Petty, and then that's why you ended up leaving, going to Deerfield.
Mhm.
So how did you hear about Deerfield, and how was the transition from Petty to Deerfield?
Yeah, so the Deerfield was one of the schools that I was looking at the beginning as well. Like with Petty, I visited there as well. So I'd already known the coaches, so it was an easy transition. I knew them from the beginning, and Coach Barbera had already been talking with me throughout, even when I was at Petty. So I was like, oh, I know this guy. I think he's a good guy. So I just ended up going there. And then the
Okay,
transition
okay.
was way easier because like I had already established like what I knew, what my values were going to be going in, and I knew I was just gonna work, and I'd already adapted to like the homework side of things and all the other type things. So it was really just about keeping to the work ethic and then seeing what the results were gonna be. Because I mean, you never really know what's gonna happen. You just gotta keep working and see where it takes you. To be honest.
I feel that. I feel
But
that.
it is for sure.
Going into Deerfield, did you have any offers?
Yeah, I had one offer. So when I went to Petty, like I went there for a camp and it was like my first time there, and I got an offer from Dartmouth just based on like my size and speed. Like they haven't really seen me play football. They really just took a guess. Like I'm not gonna lie, the coach seen me and he was like, he seen my 40 time. I can't remember what it was, and he seen how tall I was and how I was moving in my frame, and he was like, I guess we're gonna offer you. Like he took like a shot in the dark. Like I could have been so bad. He just I guess he had coach's intuition, to be honest. So that was my only offer going to Deerfield. And then my second one came September 1st. So like, yeah, I really going there, I didn't have that much exposure, to be honest.
Hmm. And
It was,
then how
go ahead.
getting that first one? How did it feel in terms of? I mean, obviously at this point, your confidence is already like you already have your confidence built. But just in terms of believing in yourself and knowing, okay, one coach believed in me, or one school believed in me, I know I could get more. Was that what was going through your head, or like what was that feeling like?
So like the first one from Petty at my freshman year, well, it was my freshman year I got it. I like, first of all, I didn't really realize that they offered me because I hadn't really been offered before, so I didn't know how it went down. So I didn't know until like 4 months after that they actually offered me, because they came to the school and they're like, they were talking with some other football players and they were like, oh yeah, we already offered Elic. And I was like, that was an offer. I didn't realize until like 4 months after. And then, I mean, it wasn't really a confidence booster for me. It was just like they seen the potential, and I already had seen my potential, so I just knew I had to keep working because I already knew that I wasn't like good enough in my eyes for the offer at that point. Like,
Mm.
yeah, in my like when even at that point, I was like, yeah, like I'm not good enough for this offer. I just got it because based off of my potential. So it didn't really boost my confidence at all. And then when I got to Deerfield and got my like second offer, my first offer at Deerfield, that was more just like, again, not a confidence booster, just like, okay, the work's starting to pay off a little bit, not that much. So just make sure that you keep on it. Like it was like a reaffirmation to keep working more for me.
Okay, okay. That you know what that's dope. I like that's a great answer. I rock with that.
Especially because a
Real.
lot of guys in your position, especially being so young, getting the offer, that can instantly go to their head, right? Feeling like they already made it. They already put in all the work they had to put in, you know.
Yeah.
But for you to understand that it's like, oh, I got way more work ahead of me to do, that's something a lot of kids does not get early on at all.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like this is a very hard thing to do as well. Like just being honest with yourself, because I think most of the time, like deep down inside, like you know whether or not you deserve something and whether or not you're good at something or not. But the hardest part is like letting yourself, like acknowledging if you are or not. So for me, I was just trying to be as honest as possible with myself. And I mean, I've seen all the guys around me that I thought were deserving of the offers, and they were better than me. So I was like, why am I getting this? And that's kind of I mean, it probably played in that there was good guys around me that I realized that like I wasn't good yet.
Yeah,
And
I hear that.
even now, it's just like I do have a lot of offers and I'm committed, but there's people that have already gone through the same process that are still better than me that are already in the league. So like I know there's still so much more ahead that I have to do to get to where I want to go. Just because you can just, if you just look one more level up, you can just see that there's already people that have done what you've done. So it doesn't make you anything special yet.
I really want to dive into this now. Like what I
Yeah.
won't even say it's a chip because it's not really like an attitude thing for you, but like what is it? What drives you like
yeah,
to
what's
just
really
always want to get that next step?
you know your work's not done yet.
Like I really I couldn't tell you. This is just how I've always kind of been. And I think like one like predominant feeling I had the first year was that like I wasn't being respected. And like that kind of just pissed me off, to be honest. So like I think like that played a big part. Like I've always already been competitive, and then just like seeing how like your performance can take away from how you're respected by other people just made me want to like make sure that there was nobody better than me. And then after a while, like I got over that phase. Like I wasn't as like so mad about that. Wasn't taking it so personally. I just thought like I kind of just think that I want to use all my potential. So I know that if I become complacent now, that I'm not going to use it up. Like I'm really afraid of having the potential and not like taking full advantage of it and like reaching it. Like I don't want to be that guy that like had all the potential in the world but doesn't reach it because they just weren't willing to do it.
I hear you. It's like you never want to leave an ounce of doubt. So like whenever your career is done, it's like, all right, I did everything I could have. Like this is the best I could have possibly been, type of thing. Am I right
Yeah,
in saying that?
yeah. You only get one chance to do it, and like if I'm 40 and I'm looking back saying that I could have done more and been better, like I don't want to have that at all.
That's what it is, man. That's
That's
dope.
it. That's
That's what it
real.
is right there.
That's real.
And then, shoot. I mean, I ain't trying to move on from that topic, but I will. I know you got lots of stuff to do, so in respect for your time, we're gonna move on a bit here. You definitely mentioned like the recruiting circuit, the visiting circuit you did this summer. So do you mind just describing how how recruitment has been for you? Just go through the process. How has the process been?
It was good. I mean, at the start of the year, I had the first offer, and then I got the second September 1st. And then I got it was they were both Ivy Leagues, and then I got most of the Ivies within the next couple of weeks, and then it kind of slowed down for a while. And then I got West Virginia as my first Power Five, and then it basically like stopped from there on. And then maybe in January I got Iowa, and then again it stopped from there on. So I was like, thinking like I'm probably not gonna get any more offers, so like I should start trying to narrow it down. And then I just started like again, I was working hard and I thought like, oh, I'm getting way better. So I started putting some stuff on Twitter that I was confident that like coaches would see and be impressed by. And then like all of a sudden I put the video on Twitter. The next day, like Penn State started calling me or called my coach, and my coach was like, oh, Penn State's gonna call you tomorrow. So they called me, and I met with like the area recruiter, like just a normal thing. Like they're not gonna offer you, they're just talking to the area recruiter. And then like 5 minutes later after I talked to him, the wide receiver coach called me personally. And then after that, like he got me on with the head coach and then the offensive coordinator within like 15 minutes. And it was super fast. And then they ended up offering me like right then and there. And then that day, I just got like 5 offers that day out of nowhere after Penn State offered. Like Penn State offered me,
Ooh.
Ole Miss offered me like an hour later. And then Virginia offered me like maybe 2 hours later, and then Duke offered me, and then University of Kentucky offered me all in the same day. So like it really just skyrocketed. I guess did get Tennessee before that, but again it was like flat after. And then after that Penn State, like everybody just started offering me out of nowhere, and they started seeing me. And then for me, like, and Justin, I kind of wanted to go to Notre Dame. It was Notre Dame or Stanford. Stanford was my dream school, but then once I got to the States, I realized that Notre Dame might be better just because it's consistently top 5 and it also has the academics.
Mm.
So then I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to the Notre Dame camp because they haven't offered me yet. They wanted to see me in person, which is respectable. Like, you always want, like, good teams will see their guys in person most of the time. I mean, some coaches just know when they see it on film, like, that's the guy, and I respect that too. But I mean, if they wanted me to see me in person, like, that was fine with me. So I went to the Notre Dame camp in June, on June 6th, and so I flew out there to Indiana and got the offer, and then on the 16th, 10 days later, I flew out to Stanford and got the offer, and then in between, I was visiting Tennessee, which was like a really great visit, just experiencing the SEC and things of that matter. And then I went back and also visited like Cal, Vanderbilt, and then Stanford and Notre Dame. And so, I mean, it was all a great experience, just especially since COVID, like you didn't really get to go on those visits, even if you were recruited and just going to university campuses. So it was a good experience just getting to see like all the facilities and all the resources that they put into you to become a better athlete. It was super awesome.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. That's what a year for real.
Right?
That's crazy.
I mean, I was about to commit, and then I was about to commit, and then Tennessee offered me. So then I was like, oh, like I'm gonna reconsider. So then it slowed down again, and then I started like narrowing it down, and then all of a sudden I got like 20 offers in like 2 weeks.
Quick side note here. If you still have it and if you're comfortable doing it, would you mind sending us this 5 offers in 1 day video? Just like we try to put it on with this interview or something or whatever. But just to send it over if you don't mind.
Oh, just like
complete. Yeah, like complete side note. Complete side note. Like this is more for me. Like, yeah.
That's wild.
Hey, came in your street, nigga, have a loose lips. I gotta get my shit. If you like it, then you get it. You can't put on that drip, he ain't one of us. How you riding the Benz and the tongue? I switch it sweet, they keep me rolling, but if we catch the out, we gotta show. Shorty wanna thug, hey, bottles in the club, hey, know I love the tub, hey, easy play that shit. Get a check. You tryna run on my pants and my chest. Chanel dress, clean up a mess. I eat a beat it up. Beat it up. Eat it up. Eat it up. Eat it up. Yeah, that's right. Wine be the gang. That work, they took your stick, a bitch. Fuck my ops, they be on my dick. They all be mad, we rich. Slides and I'm gonna bust. You can't put on that drip, he ain't one of us. How you riding the Benz? To a nigga with no hope, he served by a roaster. No joke, cause he didn't know the ropes and
That's wild. Yeah, like honestly, I want to say like congratulations on just always staying hungry because like especially during the dead periods, because a lot of athletes probably won't even understand that process where it's kind of like sometimes you kind of see it a lot where if it goes dead, they might think, okay, well, oh, I have to commit now because I'm not going to get nothing else. This is it. And they kind of commit and then they kind of like have to go with the whole, now if the offer's coming, it's like, okay, now I got to decommit. And now I got to like, so it's kind of like their emotions are actually just going up and down because they don't really know, right?
Yeah, it's definitely hard to navigate for sure. I think I did have a goal of getting the Stanford offer and the Notre Dame offer, so that kind of pushed me to keep pursuing those and like trying to get like the invites to their camps. So I think that was one thing that helped me keep working through the dead period, like no matter what I had or didn't have.
And what would you say? I mean, even if it's not just one thing, but like what helped you decide between Stanford and Notre Dame the most, especially once you did end up getting that Notre Dame offer?
I know. I just think it was too, honestly, like it came down just because I felt like there was nothing wrong with Notre Dame. I just didn't feel like it was for me when I went there on my visit. That's really all it was. And then it came down to like Tennessee, Cal Berkeley, and Stanford that were my last top three. And I just, to me, the Stanford had too much to turn down. I felt like I was family there. It's Stanford academically, it's Stanford athletically. Like it had too many things. It was something I knew that I just couldn't turn it down, to be honest.
I feel that for sure. It's just like
especially because
once
it's a
you
dream school.
Yeah.
exactly once you have that school, you get the offer, and it's almost like you visited there, like you say, you felt like family. So it's kind of like the school once you know the school type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they couldn't really do anything else to be better. Like they had everything. So
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope, man. That's crazy. And once again, congrats,
Yeah,
man.
congratulations
that's
on
big
that.
facts.
That's huge.
thanks.
Yeah, man. Just
Especially
keep
like no
working,
one,
keep grinding. That's big.
especially coming starting off from where you came from to like where you are now. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess it just ended up happening. It all came to fruition, to be honest.
It's a fact. One thing we're curious if you had any going into this season. I guess a personal goal and a goal for the team. And I know, like with Deerfield, I don't know if it's still like that, but like when I was at Loomis, at least they had a no playoff system. Is that still the case?
Yeah.
Okay. Just curious
okay.
I was just curious if they had that. So yeah, what's a personal goal for the season and team goal for the season, man?
I wouldn't say that I have really any personal goals for this season, aside like from just trying to be a leader of the team. Like I just want to be able to try to pass what I've learned over like my journey in the States to guys that are also trying to do like go D1 and acquire their dream. So I just kind of wanted to try as much and try do my best to pass down what I've learned. And even though I don't know it all, like I do have some things that I could tell some kids that are younger than me that would help them in their journey. So that was, I guess, my personal goal. And then for the team, it was just I want to lead them and help them to go 11-0 and make it to the bowl game and win the bowl game. That's really it. And I think for us, we just got to take it week by week and then have everybody buy in because we get post grads and, sometimes it is like it is a selfish type of thing. Like that's just the nature of it because like you're coming post grad to get offers. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You can't blame guys for doing that because they have to have their self-interest at hand. But a big thing for us is, if you can buy into the team success is ultimately going to end up being your success too. Because if the team plays well, you're playing well.
Exactly.
I think for me and the other captains, we're just trying to, stress that to the post grads and even to the young guys, just to say like, if the team's winning, like we're all going to be winning because, I mean, the team plays good, the individuals also play good.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. And that definitely, like, you're spot on with that post grad thing because I dealt with a similar situations. Like you already have the team chemistry because the guys have been together, they've been in school together for at the very least the past year, they played together. And it's like, all right, come August, then that's when the post grads come in and you're trying to blend all those different personalities and, like you said, get them to all buy into the program, buy into what you guys are doing and what you guys are trying to build. So yeah, I could definitely understand how that could be, at least team wise, that could be the hardest part, the most difficult part.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be hard, but to be honest, like we've done a really good job. I think that all the post grads are here for the team, and I think that's kind of how our coach recruited them and made sure like they had the type of personality that was going to be for the team. So I mean, props to my coach and props to the post grads who are already buying into the system.
Yeah, man, that's dope. That's dope. Well, hey, as much as I'm a Loomis guy at heart, I'm gonna be keeping a close eye on Deerfield this season for sure.
Lewis has some recruits this year, like some serious recruits. Like
yeah. They changed the head coach from when I was there previously, but I believe the head coach right now is Jeff Moore. I'm not sure if you would know that, but I believe but he's been doing like a real good job. He came in from another program before he went to Loomis, so he's definitely been doing his thing, and
Hey,
the team's been looking good. The team's been looking good, but
And
I'm gonna definitely be keeping that I'm gonna keep that close eye on Deerfield, especially since we got a Canadian on Deerfield. That's always that hits close to home, close to the heart.
there's one on Loomis too. I think he's the right tackle. He's committed to Michigan, but he is from Canada as well.
Really? How did I not know that? I know there was one, I guess before COVID, Paris. I'm not sure if he's at Arizona now.
Yeah. Shan?
Yeah, exactly. I did not know that they currently had a Canadian on their roster. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, his name is Alessandro Lorenzetti.
Okay. Alessandro Lorenzetti. Appreciate that. And now, I mean, this ties perfectly into you. I guess we know your career is really just getting started, but looking back, what are some pieces of advice I guess you would give to a younger version of yourself or anybody else in your shoes who's kind of going through the same thing that you're going through, or something similar? And then for this, if you don't mind giving at least one piece of advice related to football and one piece of advice outside of football.
Okay, so for football, I would say just like respect the game. Like you can't just go out there and expect to have results without doing something prior to the results. If you build the respect for the game and know that you have to put in work to be successful, like that's just the blueprint. Just put in your work and make sure that you're doing the right steps to get towards success, and then success will eventually come. And then for outside of football, I would just say be yourself. Like just be comfortable in your own skin, and that's gonna take you farther than you trying to like act and show out for other people.
I like that.
Doubt. Yeah, no doubt, man. That's what it is right there.
Right before you go, top 5 receivers in the NFL right now.
In no specific order.
Yeah, no order.
Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs. I'll put Julio in there. Julio gets injured a lot right now because he's a little bit older, but he's still a top 5 receiver in my eyes. Devontae, Stephon, Julio. I mean, I like DeAndre Hopkins. I think like he's a dude, but like in my opinion, he's a top 5 talent. Okay? Like he's a top 5 talent. But like just from watching him and like so on the visits, like I watch a lot of film because they just want to show you what they do, right? And some of these guys are like ex-NFL coaches. So I get to watch the film and they get to break it down for me. So after like watching the film, like I kind of have, in my opinion, gotten a more feel for them. So I think that DeAndre Hopkins is a top 5 receiver, but I also don't think that he always does like what his assignment is that often. I think he gets away with being an athlete is what I would say.
Would you mind clarifying that a bit just for some of the viewers who may not understand completely what you're saying?
So like, for example, if he had like a dig at 15, like he might run the dig at like 12 or something like that, but he's still going to catch the ball. The quarterback's just going to throw it in there. He's going to catch it. But like, that wasn't his assignment. Like I have big respect for doing your assignment and like being intentional with all your steps. And that's why I really like Devontae, because like he can't get away with being an athlete because he's just not like a freaky athlete. So like everything Devontae does is intentional and it works because it's intentional. And that's why I think he's a really good receiver. And then I would say DK Metcalf, top 5 too, because he's just a freak athlete.
He cracks the top 5. Okay. Yeah. You know what? I love that list. I won't lie. I was probing to hear what you had to say about D-Hop because like that's my guy. If you ask anyone I know, I will argue up and down that that's number 1. But I like that. That's the intentionality, and like I haven't studied the film like to the extent that you had. So I love that answer, and that's interesting. That's something I'm gonna have to pay attention to that too. The more I watch him,
like he's nice. Like he makes all the catches. The quarterback can just throw it in there, and you know he's gonna catch it. But like I see that sometimes he doesn't do his assignment, and that's just my only knock. But otherwise, top 5 receiver easily, just based on what he does on the field. Like he's gonna be productive every year because he's that dude. He doesn't.
I hear that.
Honestly, like to be honest, he just doesn't have to be that. he doesn't have to be as intentional and as precise because he can get away with it because he's the DeAndre Hopkins.
Literally.
Really
No,
is.
I hear what you're saying though, for sure. It's like he, whether it's athletic, like his athletic gifts, whether it's because he knows if he throw the ball near him, he's gonna catch it. So it's like he's able to cheat a step or two in his
Yeah.
route. So okay, that's dope. And then going off
So-
of that, based off what you said, I do think I know the answer, but I'm curious what
I was
you'll
gonna ask the
what
same
you'll say.
question.
What is a receiver that you, or like a mix of receivers that you would model your game after?
I think Devontae Adams, to be honest, just because everything he does like has a purpose, and like he doesn't have anything to like bail him out because I mean his 40's not that fast. He is like 6'3", which I mean that's a great thing, and he has a huge vertical, but like speed's really big in the NFL right now, and he's not the fastest guy out there. But because he's so intentional and prepares and makes sure that he has everything on lock that is in his control is why I would want to model my game after him.
That's a great guy to model that after. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Real.
I mean, we will definitely run routes differently, but I'm just trying to model like the way he approaches the game.
Exactly, like the mental aspect behind it.
His attention to detail, because he can't just physically beat you, like off his size or his speed. He has to be technically sound.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I respect that answer. You know, just that, you know, top 5, you know, Michael Thomas could have been somewhere in there, but it's okay. It's cool. It's cool.
That's coming from a Saints fan. He's biased.
Cool.
He's biased.
It's cool.
Michael Thomas was nice, but like he didn't really do anything last year like that. Like you asked me like last years ago, I'd be
you'll let that go.
I knew he was gonna say it.
But I feel what you're saying. I actually respect your top 5. Why? Because it's different, and you actually got a good reasoning to it. So I respect that.
Jay Jettis is nice too. Justin Jefferson.
He's a dog. That's my boy.
He's a dog.
He's a dog.
Honestly, like all the receivers in the NFL, like if you really watch them, like I watched like some practice film of the Cardinals playing when I was at Vanderbilt, or was it? I can't remember where I was at, but I was watching some Cardinals practice film, and like they're like 4th receiver, like their 4th best receiver. Like he's nice. You just watch the film and you're like, yo, this guy is different. Like I was like, yo, this guy has to be like all pro or something. But like that's just how it is in the NFL. Like if you just break it down, all of these dudes are different. So honestly, I have a respect for every single one of them. If they're in the NFL, like they're good. They're the best of the best.
Yeah, no doubt. These are world-class athletes who have not perfected, but like they're perfecting their craft and they're better at it than most of the other people in the world. So,
yeah,
no doubt.
It's just a different ballgame. Like I said, Justin Jefferson, but also like Adam Thielen. Not many people think of him, but watch the film. Like this guy is different. He knows what to do. Every single number 2 receiver in the NFL, if you really look at it, they're really about it.
Yeah, that's okay. The thing.
Sorry, this does bring up another question. This was actually where I feel like I developed a lot as a football player, and I'm curious what your approach to it is. So film study, especially with how intentional it sounds like you are with everything you do. How intentional are you with film study, and how do you think studying film has helped you progress both as a player yourself and getting ready to game plan against the opponent?
I think the first thing for me was just trying to understand like what was really going on. Like you could, like when I was younger, you could say cover 3, like I now kind of understand, but like film study and like trying to ask the coach questions while I was film studying, and like even the quarterback, because the quarterback gets a little bit more insight, like this helped me understand the concepts and the why for things. For me, it was like if I understood the why, like it just helped me have a better understanding for the game and like what I was gonna do and why I did it. And so if I know the why, and which I do, that's what I try to figure out when I'm doing film study. It just helps me a lot and helps me like while I'm playing, I feel like I can think about what's going on as opposed to just like doing it mindlessly.
Okay, I love that. I love that.
I like
it's
that
like
a lot.
it's almost like, at least I don't want to put words into my mouth. Once again, correct me if I'm wrong. Once you're like, the more film you watch, it's like the game just slows down that much more for you while you're on the field, so you can think about what you're doing. Or would you say that?
It's like you have you just know what's going on. Like you can, for example, like if you see this, if you get a too high look pre-snap, you like two safeties high pre-snap, and then as the quarterback's giving you the cadence and you see when the safety starts rolling down, another one starts rolling back, like you just understand like they're going to be playing some type of one high coverage, like for example, like a rolling cover 3. So then you just understand like where the weaknesses in the defense are going to be. So like you can try to position yourself there based on your route. Like obviously your route's not always going to be there, but like if your route crosses that window, like you're on the same page with the quarterback, you know what's going on. It helps you be like, if you're on the same page with the quarterback, you're just going to be more effective as opposed to just like running your route. Cause like say the coach says run your route at 10 and keep it flat. And then something happens where like you run the route at 10, keep it flat, and then you're not open. Like if you understand the concept well enough to know like you don't have to keep it flat based on what the other guys are doing. Like sometimes you have to because like it directly impacts the other guys. But if you know you don't have to, then it just gives you more flexibility, and then you can be right more often.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. Especially like in high school, it's not a lot of people who really have that understanding of the like everything going on around them on the field. Like that's something that a lot of guys, some don't even get it while they're in university, but a lot of guys don't get it until their second year in university. So that's definitely like, that is a big asset to have, man, for sure.
That honestly, that was a big positive for my official visits. Watching film and like seeing the coach's perspective really helped me understand what was going on a lot more, and the why again. Like they really pass on a lot of knowledge, and like it's the official visits like 48 hours. They pass on like a lot of knowledge in that short time, which was, for me, it was a great experience.
That's dope. And then you really seem like a student of the game for real.
Got to be.
This will be like the last official question that we have for you. Did you take all 5 of your officials?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We're curious because me and Devontae were talking about it before. Well, I won't say there's a lot of guys, but there are some people who won't take all 5, and we weren't sure if you ended up taking all 5 or not. So I'm happy to hear that you took all 5. I think everyone should take all 5. Definitely get a feel for where you want to go. So that's
I took all 5.
Nothing more needs to be said.
At all.
Awesome.
Honestly, appreciate having you on BAIRE Athletes. It means a lot, to be honest. I will speaks obviously highly of you, and we can see why. We can see why you're a humble dude, you're a hard worker, and honestly, like you move like a blue chip. You know what I mean? Like you have that blue chip attitude, and we're excited to see what you do for the season and the rest of your career. To be honest. Thank you.
I appreciate that for sure, for real.
Man, no doubt. Like echo everything Devontae said. It's been a pleasure, bro. We're there with you. Not there with you, but like we're rooting you on every step of the way. So awesome. Definitely, there's support. Did just out of curiosity, was there any last words you had to say, or any questions you had for either of us?
No, I'm all good. Thank you. I'll definitely be with you after this, though, for sure.
Yeah, well, no doubt, man. Thank you again. We know it's 12 o'clock. Sorry, it took a bit longer, but hey, man, get to the homework if you didn't finish that up, or not, get some rest for the day. But lessons, man. Appreciate you.
It, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah, all the same for you.
See you.
Later.
In the studio late night, that hoe did me wrong, I'ma flex on purpose. In the studio late night, fast cars and bad hoes, I deserve it. Yeah. In the studio late night, I'm gon' do what I want, you gon' do what I say. In the studio late night, in the studio.